cameras are there, right?
Yeah, it's there. It's there.
Yeah. How's everything? Good? We here?
You hear?
I think. Are you connected?
Yeah, we're connected. Don't worry about that. We got the one running through the mic.
All right, how's this? Because these are cardio, so you gotta kind of make sure you're not like.
Exactly. Yeah. You know. Yeah. I was about to make you work. Honestly, when you first got here, I was like, I was telling my boy, we should just leave everything and just tell him to set everything up.
All right, salute, man. Thank you for having me again.
Of course. And I appreciate you being so timely.
I mean, time is everything, man. That's like a currency.
That's all we got, right?
Yeah.
That's all we got.
You can't get it back. It's a currency.
Salute to that. So, are you feeling like yourself today?
Yeah. When I work, I do. It's like that's where I live.
So when you work, you feel like yourself.
Yeah, that's myself.
Damn, I don't know how I feel about that, but I'm gonna catch up on that. Okay. Well, I'm glad to hear you feel like yourself. So your work keeps you centered.
Yeah.
Is there a goal you have this week in regard to your work that will keep you centered throughout the week?
Yeah, so editing wise, I would say I got the final touches on my film.
Mm-hmm.
So I got to do that so I can finally sit down and watch it with some key people, just to get some feedback on that first impression. And I got 3 editing gigs, which is where I make my living, right, that I want to edit, get out, clear balance, start, make clean.
Okay. I'd have to ask, you said the final touches on your film?
Yeah.
So you're working on a film?
Yeah, I was able to crowdfund for a short film I wrote called LؐFT, and I was able to crowdfund for it. First time. I'm a shy person when it comes to that. Like, I provide a service, I send an invoice. That's life, right?
Yeah.
But I was encouraged by a lot of people. I did short films before, sent them to festivals during the pandemic, so I didn't get to go to them, to the ones I won.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, the longest one was 10 minutes, but I set myself to do at least a 22-minute short that can serve as a pilot. And then we ended up with 32 minutes, which now brought down to 27, with 5 to shave if needed. But yeah, I crowdfunded for it. I raised almost $14,000.
Was it difficult to crowdfund?
The platform I used made it easy. They coached me through it.
What was the platform?
It's called it's a production company called Avenida Productions out of LA, and they have a crowdfunding arm called Support Our Story, and they coach you. They help you kind of utilize the algorithms on Facebook or social media to really get people rolling, and then it worked.
I mean,
I've never in my life raised money before for anything.
Well, shit, the first time you doing it and it was a success. So,
yeah.
Do you see yourself crowdfunding in the future?
Yeah, I'm encouraging people to do it because a lot of the problems that, and at least in Connecticut, right? Because my other 2 markets are California and Texas. So here is like, the cash flow. There's money here, but it's not in the arts, right? So there's people that want to retire here that come here, or they're Wall Street, finance, or a lot of the executives in a lot of different the music business, film business, but for some reason there's just no cash flow, and it's not a sustainable career.
Yeah, I get what you're saying, and I do see I want to say like a lot of the money in the state tends to go to social services, but even then, social services say they don't get enough money. They don't. Yeah. Too honestly though, so it's a hard thing to look at.
I shouldn't say this because I don't like saying things that don't without backing, but I have a suspicion that because Bridgeport, for example, has a lot of the social service out there, I think they're busing the homeless to Bridgeport from different places when they want to develop and they want to clean up a place. I mean, they've done that in Seattle. They send people all the way to Colorado. So it's a practice that it's not a conspiracy theory. It's happened. So,
oh no, and I don't even think it's just homeless because I grew up in Stanford, so I've watched displacement happen in real time, where they took away neighborhoods in Stanford that were predominantly Black or Hispanic, and the only places that these people on low-income housing could possibly afford to live was Bridgeport. When you're talking about Fairfield County, they can't go to Fairfield, they can't go to Westport, they can barely go to Norwalk. You know what I mean?
I saw a transition. Stanford, some were able to go to Norwalk, and some Bridgeport, and then I'm starting to see after the pandemic, people moving up into the valley. Yeah. They want to buy or Waterbury.
Yes, that's
true. Now, I don't know where they're going after Waterbury.
Yeah.
Shout out to Waterbury, but I mean, the reality is you're not going to find any cheaper rent than that.
Yeah, and
At this point, you just gotta move south.
yeah, for sure. And shit, I was about to go into all the issues that you face when you go into these low income neighborhoods, and we talk about being stuck, but that's another conversation. uh, you, from what I hear, though, you sound like somebody that is very well traveled.
Yes, as soon as I got my green card, I got
Okay.
I jumped on it, and yeah, I think that's you should travel as much as you can to get a glimpse of the world we live in, and the people, meet new people, stop living on stereotypes. And not that I ever did, but there's people that just never met certain people, and then it just that's where stereotypes and a lot of prejudice live in ignorance and an
Yeah.
inability to like have a conversation with people of all backgrounds, religions, beliefs, races, all that, and that gives you like a glimpse of okay, this is how this is it humanizes everybody.
Yeah, because you actually get to go and see somebody for who they really are, rather than everything people said they were.
Right.
Um, and it's so life is so funny like that, because like I think about talking to people and telling them they could be this or they could be that, and you wish that they could just simply understand that, like, if you do X, Y, and Z, you can become these things. If you shifted your perspective, you would see the world differently, right?
Yeah.
But it's like you really have to personally go through or see somebody in a whole different environment to for your head to really wrap around it.
Yeah.
So in that, I get a glimpse of how you got into videography. But can you give me more background into that?
So I mean, I did audio before. I had a studio at home. I started making beats with the PS2 generator, from Master Flex generator. It was a beat making game for PS2.
Oh, it was a beat making game.
Yep, it was two of them. I didn't even know. I think I bought number two. Duh, I should have known by number two. So it was a very simple, but almost close to Fruity Loops, a linear beat making like sequence machine in the game. And then I was always rigging the VCR audio outputs to put my music on and record on VHS, like experimenting with being bored and not really being outside like that, young and when you don't have money, you just try to find ways to entertain yourself. But I've never been like I don't know like sports, not really something I've been into. So I just found different ways to get my brain going. So from there, I learned how to record. I always been a big fan of music, and just started connecting. I didn't know what the process of recording was. I used to have CD burners. I make the beat, burn it, then play that back, burn it, try to time it together.
Oh man!
And then I got a computer built, and with that, then Coolator Pro, which is now Adobe Audition. I started working with that.
Coolator Pro.
It was called Coolator Pro. It was its own thing. Radio is I think is the standard for radio when they to record and do stuff like that.
Okay.
But now Adobe bought it, and it's called Adobe Audition. It's part of the suite, but it's a very simple. I never worked with Logic or none of those because I never got into it deep enough. I just always did my thing.
So when you were doing your thing, were you like making beats for people, or is this just pure entertainment?
It was for people, and I tried to make a business out of it. I moved to a different house, actually invested in padded a room, got some glass, had a home studio, and I was charging hourly. But I just again I never I didn't go to school for business or anything like that. I didn't. This was a learning experience on how to set your terms and work with clients and have
so
their expectations.
In that learning experience, what was the biggest lesson you learned?
You have to set your terms. Even the stuff that you don't talk about. A lot of problems with disagreements are the vagueness of an agreement or the thing that's not there. That's what's up to a judge at the end of the day, or arbitration, because what's there is there. If I write this is how much you charge an hour, you can't really debate that later. But if I didn't charge, if I don't put late fees and stuff, I can't verbally just say, by the way, your late fee is $1,000. Like you can't do that.
Yeah.
So everything should be on paper, and I have to force myself to learn business, just the most basic business, to make sure that everything just having terms. That's the biggest lesson.
Got something so basic when people sign their name to it. Do you still find yourself still dealing with difficult clients?
No, I mean I've had what I would call the picky. I got good at kind of not taking business that I know is just gonna set me back and take away from me providing great service to the rest of my good clients. So I've been lucky enough to be able to say no to things that I don't want. Saying no to things is a big thing in my life.
Oh, I can
No, the
imagine.
power of no. I think there's a book. I didn't come up with
Yeah,
that
I
title.
think so. Power of no.
No is I can tell you what I think are the decisions I made that are great for my career, but I know the no's that and I've never to this day I haven't seen anything that I said no to that actually became like I don't have anything that I would say I regret not partaking in it
So
because it went exactly how I expected for them and the people involved.
Sound like you got the vision.
Yeah, it's just I don't like forced anything. Forcing things is terrible. I think we don't have enough time in this earth to force anything. Friendships, situations, beliefs, thing. Forcing is just like it's just this feeling that I get from that I just don't want to be part of it.
Okay, so I asked then, so you don't want to force things, but you find yourself in a position that you're making beats. You try to start a business. It was a learning experience. How do you find yourself transitioning into video?
I always had a camera around, and this is before DSLRs, before it was affordable to start from the ground up. So I didn't really get into it, but I did have these clients. And, rest in peace, Shahid Posta, part of a three-man group called the Goodfellas. I used to record for them. They were like my MWA in a way, like because they wanted the dudes to be an artist. He never wanted to be an artist, and they made him like, yeah, you gotta talk about his life and what you're going through and whatnot. Unfortunately, a lot happened. He got killed. Crazy enough, by one of the members of the.
Oh my god!
Yeah. And but I made a video for them. I was like, okay, I used to watch a lot of behind MTV making the video. So I had an idea of what it took. So I went and bought Home Depot lights, like regular like hanging lights, and just put them sideways because they're clean white light. And I was like, wow, this is what makes videos, not just the camera, lighting. So I started picking up on all that stuff. I showed a few people, but I didn't even think about marketing or charging for it. I just never worked. That was 2006, 2007, 2008, 2009. That was the last time I had a job. That was like, I was cutting wood and putting crates together, risking my fingers, and I was pretty much making enough to go back to work on Monday, and be able to get my ENJ and that Friday night. That was a cycle of. I mean, I was meeting my rent
of
and
course,
payment, but it was just nothing left. So it just took a lot of stuff. My car broke down, couldn't afford to fix it. They wanted me to come in after I fixed it with almost the whole 3 paychecks. They wanted me to come in snow, and I'm like, I'm not going in there snowing. I just fixed my car.
Right, what we
Streets are
talking
crazy. I quit. I just stopped going. I didn't even quit. I just didn't answer the phone anymore. And I just kind of took $900, and I bought a T2i.
What's that?
A Canon T2i is a DSLR that does video, but it was clean, 24 frames per second. It had the look. It finally, people were, and I was one of those people that slept on the DSLR. I was like, that's a photo camera. I'm not using that. It gave me the results, and then I was like, all right, what did I do wrong with my last venture? No terms, I didn't put anything. So I set up a bunch. People used to call me an a-hole because they thought I was just this strict, but time and terms. I conditioned a small amount of my market to be on time and respect their own time. You disrespecting yourself by not being there when you need to because no one understood what it takes to. We saw our artists on TV, we saw inspiration, and what we see is like the end result, and they're like, oh, living this life takes a lot of discipline to get things going.
Yeah,
multi-billion-dollar business because people work and they spend nights in studio perfecting it. At least the people that care, right? And
I mean, shit. At least the people that you see, because
right.
the people that you see, those are the people working.
Yeah,
oddly
takes
enough.
a lot of work. Regardless of talent or not, they work. Remember, hard work beats talent, right?
Yeah.
So, but kind of like set it for myself, but I had to be an example for my market too.
So I want to ask, what year is it when you start taking videography serious and you have your terms?
2008, 2009.
2008, 2009.
Yeah. Started doing music videos for some of my clients that were studio before, and then some new clients, and it was, it wasn't a lot, but I came in, I was offering a service for I didn't mean to, right? It wasn't like 3 people doing it at the time. They weren't really doing it full time either, so they just, they had their price set, the results were okay, but then I came in like with what they called the,
you undercut them?
I didn't know what they were charging. I just know that they did it. I didn't even understand how or what their business model was. I just knew what I required for my time.
Mm-hmm.
An entry level, not having any background and not
Mm-hmm.
having any accolades and nothing like that. But it worked, and I started seeing results. I'm like, okay, time to register my business, and then something to stay on top of it. IRS. I don't want to end up one of these people that lose track of it. What you do with $10 or what you do with $100,000, right?
Listen,
It's habits,
you
right?
if they ever ask you, you tell them me. I got some excuses for you. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. God forbid they honor me. We're not watching anything.
No. But what you would call it? Yeah, nah. It's a lot of just I like being an example of what I want to see back. So
You definitely are an example for sure. I mean, um, from me doing my research on you, and I'll give you some little background. I was interested to hear that you said you started your business around 2008, 2009. Because that timeline does coincide with around maybe 2011, 2012. You shot a music video in Danbury for the 2K Boys.
Oh yeah. That was damn. Was that early on? Wow.
Yeah, that was very early
Those
on.
first years were crazy. I mean, I had a yeah 2011, 2012. Yeah, you're right because 9, 8, 10. That's when it started like really
Hmm.
catching on, and then it became full time.
So it's a very small world because I was there.
Really?
Yeah,
Wow.
I know.
At the house. There
At
was a
the
house.
house.
We were
That
expecting people to show up.
yeah, those are my boys. You want to hear something even funnier?
Mm.
This is that boy's house.
Really?
Yes.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's a small world.
That is a small world.
It's a small
Man.
world.
Yeah.
So like everybody's come a long way.
Wow. I remember it was like a house, like a
On
type
top
of
of a
place.
freaking car dealership.
Yeah. Wow. That's insane, man.
So it's well, I say that to say like when I first saw your work back then, I was like, damn, this is some quality shit.
That
And
was the T2I.
shit, you knew what you was doing.
Yeah.
And my boy was like, yo, he was the first person that like that they were trying to make music back then. It's like the first person that really showed me what quality was.
Mm.
Now, so speaking of quality, like, was there ever did you can you track your growth in that, or could you clearly see in the beginning, or did you come out the gate knowing exactly what you needed to do to make a crisp video?
I know that I knew what I needed for my equipment. And that got better, and I was able to afford better stuff, and overall continue to like reinvest. But the market, music, and the industry, they change every day, so that's an ongoing learning experience. So as far as my equipment and knowing what I need to do with it, yeah, but there's always something new, or some new technology that makes something obsolete,
Mm-hmm.
or a different approach. And then there's the just like I'm a cinematographer at heart, and I look good content. I'm a purist in a way, um, so I'm not huge in CGI and all that stuff. I like telling the story with in film, but yeah, there's the growth has been in the I guess the theory of what we do, the film, and what is a good music video, right? Besides being 4K, which is a branding and selling word. What does it mean? People just love using. Oh, my phone's 4K. This 4K.
Yeah.
That does. I mean, that's obviously you don't want to shoot in 720. But anything after 8K, you can't tell the difference. The human eye just can't. At this point, it's like what sensors in your camera? Sorry,
Okay.
what sensors in your camera? How do you light the scene? What are the movements? What was the frames? So all those things. That is an ever learning experience. You always kind of tweak that.
I mean, sure. I just really learned about shooting with my iPhone that is 4K 60 FPS compared to an iPad that's 4K 30 FPS.
Yeah.
And I didn't think I could see the difference until like I was doing editing.
Oh yeah, frame rates. Yeah, you can. Some people can't. Like I do this thing, and that people probably know already. Like if you're watching movies at 120 hertz, I'm like if you give me that remote, I'm changing the bag. You're gonna be upset.
Why?
Because the movie should be watched at 24 frames per second, not 60. That's for sports. But people love watching movies at 120 hertz, which is the refresh rate, and it just looks like a soap opera to me. It takes away from what film is.
24 frames
And so
per
people
second?
can't. My wife can tell the difference. She's like, I don't get it. I don't like. I'm like, no, look how smooth it's moving. It looks like you're watching a novela. This is how film should look. It should be 24 frames per second, which gives you the action, the shutter.
Like the movie. Well, yeah,
Some people just don't see it. They don't know what they're looking for.
I got you. Okay, I'm gonna do that when I get home on my Samsung TV. I just have to go to settings, right?
Yeah, it's called. It has different brand names. It's like Smooth Vision or
Mm-hmm.
whatever. It's really good if you're watching sports because you feel like you're there. You should, right? You should be,
Yeah, because I do see that like in the sports, these
but not
you
in
watch
movies.
the sports on TV. These guys are running 100 miles per hour.
Mhm.
So I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Like,
and it's smooth. You feel like you're there, like, but not in a movie, man. But that's just, some people disagree, right? It's an opinion thing. I'm a purist. That's the best word I can use to describe how I feel about my craft.
so are you a fan of Alfred Hitchcock?
I mean, I respect what he's done and all that. It's like, again, not forcing things like this stuff that people consider classics for the sake of it. We just don't disagree with it because it is what it is, and then you gotta explain. Like, you gotta do a thesis on why you disagree.
Mm-hmm.
But he never impacted my filmmaking. It's not impactful to me or my line, like the path and the journey I'm going.
So have you watched his films?
Yeah, in school mostly. Like when the teacher was hungover and played back inappropriate films.
So the only reason I asked is because like I was on your Instagram and I saw that you posted something along the lines of what you do with 7, I can do with 1. And I'm assuming that implies what you would do with 7 cameras.
Yes,
I could do with 1.
Yeah.
And I feel like that was so much of the power in one of Alfred Hitchcock's films, where a couple of them where they were shot in one place.
Yeah.
And not to say I don't know the case of how many cameras he shot them from, but like he shot from one location, and it's an hour and 20 minutes of, I think, of a master class. And that's my opinion. I'm not a film guy, but
Right, right.
But when I watch films, other films, I'm like, yo, he had me really focused for this hour and 20 or hour 30, and this is 19
Right.
something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think shout out to him in the way that he recorded, and I could just be talking a lot of bullshit, but
No, but because it's more than just filming. It's like there's the because he was a writer,
mhm,
and it was like when you write and direct, you have a little more like power,
mhm.
and it's very experimental. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it worked. It could easily not work, but it worked, right? So, minimalist, right? Which I'm a minimalist to a
Yeah.
degree, but that's where it ends. Is like, okay, it can be done, and then that's it. That's for me at least, but it's everybody has an opinion and everything, different impact. People get impacted differently by different stuff they watch. I really try to keep myself in a bubble influence. Like, one thing that I hate, unless I'm doing something like corporate or commercial for someone, I hate reference videos. I'm like, we're not redoing this.
Yeah, I get what you're
let's,
saying.
let's do something different. Even with music is so oversaturated right now,
Mhm.
and people don't tend to try nothing different. It's hard. People don't support different stuff unless it's hype around it. So they kind of just cut what's out there. Let me use the blueprint. Like, you can follow that all the way to the beginning of hip hop to trap right now, or whatever. I call it dubstep rap, which is the New York drill, whatever.
You said dubstep rap?
Dubstep, yeah, it sounds like dubstep rap.
That is true, though.
So,
that is true.
And it's safer to follow a blueprint. I mean, in the business sense, it makes the most sense to, like, if you're gonna open a pizza place, you should not try new things. Do pizza like the way people like
Yeah.
pizza in your area. Do it this way. Build a brick oven. Have delivery. Have soda. Have this. Offer wings. So I get that in the business sense. But I'm like, to be honest, bro, I don't even listen to music anymore when I drive. I listen to audio books because me and reading, bro. I start thinking about something else when I read. And that comedy, I love comedy. I think comedy is like medicine.
Okay.
But I have my own mix of music in my Apple, my Apple Music. But it's like old school Tupac, some new stuff here and there, old bit, like a lot of like my nostalgia music, pretty much. Some heavy metal, some stuff that I work, because I work with all genres. Some Spanish music from back in my day, my mom's music, stuff like that. But I don't listen. Nothing really makes me. I don't get that feeling from nothing new. It's really lazy, in my opinion. Which is another reason I'm glad I went to film, because I used to help people tell stories with music, and now I do it with film.
So it seems like you're taking a step further in um, the form that you're willing to tell something in, and it sounds like it's just getting longer and far longer, from audio to music videos to cinematography. Like, um, what do you see? Is there another form of art you see yourself dabbling in the future?
I mean, writing is. I started writing out of necessity. I'm not the greatest writer. I think I respect writers a lot because that's where really the story starts. But I did it out of necessity because I need to showcase my abilities, and I haven't seen them. No one's ever submitted anything worthy, or no one even follows the steps. I'm like, I will read it if you write it, and if you send me a screenplay, I read a screenplay. I'm not reading longhand ideas you have because it's just this, like, what are we gonna do with an idea? Like, so a lot of people just don't even get past that. They think I'm just being funny, but like, you really, if you want to submit a screenplay, it needs to be written standard.
You can read essays all day.
Yeah, I don't, and I can't read, so a script book got because it's like a blueprint for a house. Like, you gotta, if you're gonna build a house, you need a blueprint because you need to, the electrical guys gotta know where to go on the blueprint. The plumbing knows what, so it's like design type of that, so so you can read it and visualize it like the way it's supposed to come on the screen, which is how it's my job as a cinematographer to do that. So out of necessity, I think that's the new way to tell stories, but it really goes back to me exercising my cinematography, my ability to do film, and my own passion project. I've done over 3,000 music videos. That's other people's content, to be honest. There's no royalties on it. There's rightfully because they paid me up front. And there's really no space for royalties on the music videos. It's not a product you can sell, and very few people know how to monetize it. It really just it's a commercial for your music.
Yeah.
But film is its own thing. Festivals, it can become a series. It has way more options, and now is residuals involved. It's my passion project, and there's back end as well as there's no front end, but there's back end, which is it's all for its sustainability of the craft that we choose. You know what I
mean? And the response people give it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's just what it is. You make
because you can fail a lot, but you gotta be sustainable. Like, you can fall a lot, but you need a floor to fall on. If you keep falling in the void, it's just gonna be. So you need, like, I know that this is my first longer than 10-minute original film. Is not, if you look at it, you're not gonna be like, oh, that's $1 million short. No, you're gonna know it's a 20. You can probably value a little more, but acting was amazing because the people that took the chance with this were very dedicated, long hours, including Chris. He did all my sound. He did all the boom work. And I've always had issues with boom people because when I get hired to do shorts, that's the last person they allocate money to. They just like, my boy will hold the mic. It's like, it's not that simple. You need technique, you need to listen, and you need to have that. It's a boring job if that's not what you're looking to do in your life. And no one really says, I want to hold the mic. Being a boom is a step up if you're gonna run the audio department. Like, you'll do that, but then at some point you're gonna be doing mixing and you're just gonna be supervising. But it's a job. It's just like being a carpenter in Hollywood. It's not the glamorous part, but it is a job created by that industry, which we don't have here again. There's film is a way for me to kind of touch on things that are hard to have a conversation or just not natural things. But like the last one was about dementia, but it's a scary movie.
I want to touch into that. You don't gotta run there.
I'll be running my mouth, man.
Yeah, we're gonna touch on that. We're gonna touch on that. Right. Do you are you speaking of, like, you said things that just didn't speak to you? That's all you, by the way.
You sure?
Yeah, yeah.
By all means. I hope to send you a check. Otherwise, I'm keeping my hand on it.
Yeah, as you should.
You gotta put the Diddy. Diddy used to put everything. That was a business strategy here. And then blur it, and he will call up the different brands and be like, oh, I mistakenly got your brand on my video. I'll remove the blur if you sponsor it.
Yeah.
Bro.
That's mad smart.
That's sick, man.
That's mad smart, because funny, my boy that's upstairs, like, if he was down here, he would have been putting tape on everything. He'd be peeling the signs off the water bottles. He don't play.
Because, they gotta pay out, man.
Yeah. But you said something about, like, things that weren't like really speaking to you, and people doing things like a proven way and not really pushing things forward. Is
Right.
there a certain technique or style of recording visuals or audio that you have been experimenting with?
The audio is, I mean, I'm an audio guy from the beginning. That is 50% of everything in film. I've been doing more research on processing it, right? There's some AI stuff right now, but I mean, it's great tools, but again, I'm a purist. I'm not gonna jump to AI to fix. You got to do things right from the beginning. So audio acquisition is the main thing. Otherwise, you're gonna have a bad signal to process, right? And they're just experimenting with gating, compression, so it's not too compressed naturally. If you watch films from the '90s and now, you can notice the compression from those films. So they had to EQ them, like really have a high pass on them.
I have no idea what you're talking about right
Oh,
now. Just
so
let's be honest.
we want things to feel as natural as possible, so you can be suspended in that story without realizing that you're watching a recorded medium of people acting in different cuts. We all know what a movie is made like, but we want to forget that if the story is compelling enough. So
Okay.
I've been working on getting better at that because you have to do a bunch of different pieces of work, fail a few times to really float in that department.
Yeah. Are there any? What programs do you use right now in your editing?
I only use Adobe Premiere.
Only that.
Yeah.
That's for video and audio.
You can't. I mean, it has the audio. You can do most of audio processing, but then Adobe Edition, which is part of the Adobe suite, also helps with that. And you can go back and forth in the same session, so it's very, very versatile.
Just to be frank, I use iMovie.
Yeah, it's the same concept, but really, I love Premiere because it's easy to use for simple stuff. But if you really got to push it, then it has the options. They're very, but they're all essentially linear editing.
Is there anything that you would recommend, like to somebody that is?
I would say learn Adobe Audition. Like I'm not a Mac guy.
You learn Adobe Audition.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, Adobe Audition for the audio and in Premiere for editing. So because that's standard, that's still standard in most movie houses.
Okay.
Mac is good. It's like the students and stuff, and Mac is a great. I mean, they make some solid work, but it's not customizable enough for me. Like I can open my PC and swap out the card without asking permission from the company.
No, I get what you're
avoiding
saying.
any warranties. And then it's like 70% less costly.
Yeah.
And it's also again Premiere. You always find Premiere systems in all editing movie houses, big houses that handle commercials, trailers, stuff like that. But yeah, Final Cut's the same thing. It's just they don't have it for anything but Mac, so that's the thing. But Premiere is for everything else. But they're linear programs with about the same amount of tools to create film.
But that's Premiere. It's just more robust.
I think so.
Okay, I like.
From my experience, I only worked with Final a few times, and I wasn't a fan of it, and I wasn't a fan of it mostly because I don't own
Mac. Okay, I heard that.
So it's biased.
Listen, I asked for your opinion. That's all I needed. What is Do you have a dream partnership?
My dream partnerships. I don't. I think working. I mean, mental health wise, there's not like one institution or one individual that I would say, but definitely, I think all our problems have obviously. I know this has been beat over the head over and over again, but mental health. But it's like, what does that mean, right? So it's just a lot of the stuff that's happened in our society that are not helping people be their best selves, and there's the people that really are not here with us gone. They're just floating around, and some of those people are in a gray area that they end up getting jobs, driving their kids to school. They become police officers. They become ambulance drivers, mayors, presidents.
Yeah.
And they're mentally not fit, and it's not like an insult. It's a broad spectrum of mentally, right? But then there is that line where it's like, you're not really here.
Yeah,
and that's it. And then we talking from gone, homeless, that you don't even participate in society, to narcissists, complete sociopaths. And so that's the spectrum I'm talking about.
Yeah,
we haven't learned to deal with that well, and the institutions got I don't know if you're familiar with the institutionalization. I blame a lot of problems on that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I think it all still stems from um, a society that was over, like you said, being institutionalized, but like labeling, over
Oh
labeling,
yeah.
but like in a way that is too simple. Like everybody has ADHD or something, when in reality, people have different
That's
things
just a
that.
big pharma thing. That's my belief.
Yeah,
But there's money to be made. One big problem I have is with health. Health for profit is just insane to me that it's allowed to happen.
so when we talk about that, I think that speaks to why the stigma on mental health is very difficult to break when you know like there are doctors out there that are prescribing things for big pharma or things that are being
Yeah,
pushed.
there's money to be made, and people. I mean, that's a big discussion with corporations. I think that itself is an issue with how this country sees corporations,
Hmm.
because corporations have rights before some people have rights.
Yeah,
Can you imagine that? I mean, we're talking about in the '60s, there was people that couldn't go in certain places, but the corporation had all the rights.
Johnson and Johnson can do whatever the hell they want.
Right, and the court and the system, they get to do whatever they want. They're treated as a person, right? They don't get locked up or go to jail when they mess up, and then their influence is just money speak. The government needs money, so I get that. Like, we're crazy. I get the nerve of this government to give us credit scores with $31 trillion in debt,
I never thought about that.
and you giving me a score? Get out of here. I mean, a lot of conversations get drowned in the conspiracy theory, and I believe that. I know I'm getting off topic here,
No, that's
but
good. Let's go.
I believe that a lot of conspiracy theories are gross exaggerations of the truth, with the effort to be like, I'm not going into that crazy conversation. Like when people start talking about certain things, and then the thing is, some people start believing the crazy addition of that. So then it becomes that it's this big
Yeah,
like what's real and what's not. Like there's a lot. I mean, there's a secret world, and we know that. I mean, we all have we all have that though. We have a public life, a secret life,
yeah,
and a private life, and then we dance around all those, right? So that's the natural thing that's going to happen with the person, right? Who we present to people and who we are and all that stuff. But then whenever something is grossly exaggerated, I'm like, okay, so you bunching up everybody with the crazies because this conversation is going in the right direction, but in the wrong direction for your interest. So you feed it more, which is strategically very smart. Like,
oh for sure, for 100%. And I think messaging is so important. I think that's why you do your film and you're figuring out how to tell the
mm-hmm.
message that you exactly want. And I think part of that is why you gotten into writing, so you have full control of,
Yeah,
like you said, delivering it in the way that you truly see it in your head. Um, but not to get off topic, I say that to say like the message and how you deliver the message is so important. Like we got Martin Luther King, and people would have called him a coon for like looking for peace, and
right.
but that was the message he needed for the time. And then as it goes on, he's talking about like the war against the poor, the rich versus the poor,
Yeah,
rather than, and like the messages that need to be delivered when the time is there. Because if you do tell people all of the truth, it might sound like a gross exaggeration.
you're right.
You
And most
know,
people
I
can't
think it's
handle
like
it.
there's like a dichotomy in that where it's
Yeah,
difficult.
reality is. I mean, the world. This sounds super negative, but the world is chaotic and in a
Yeah,
sad place. We just kind of have a society. We're not chasing each other down and eating each other like the lions and hyenas and whatever they eat. You can tell I'm a dropper now,
yeah.
but because lions don't eat hyenas. But yeah, we barely, we do math and have music. Oh my god,
Yeah,
but we're political animals.
for real.
So it's a crazy world. It's gross without law. I mean, people would do. It's a crazy place.
It is. It's like it's
Some people, ignorance. People say ignorance is bliss, and yeah, that some people actively don't even want to know. I start conversations with people sometimes like this, and they're like, you know,
like what?
I don't. You know what? No, nothing's collapsed yet. There's
Mm-hmm.
food, because there's only so many essentials we need anyway, right? Shelter, food, right? And then they don't really want to think about like China-U.S. relations. What's really happening. Economically speaking, that like you said, like it gets depressing.
It really
There's a
can.
global depression. There's personal depression.
Then there's
Global depression.
Yeah.
In the sense of like having this in the back of your head, like, damn.
And it's like, yo, you sitting there thinking, damn, my life sucks right now. Let me get things right. And then it's like, damn, the world sucks right now.
Yeah.
What the hell is the point of getting my things right?
Yeah.
And
But
I'm sure, and I don't think like
and
that.
that's not the message I'm trying to
No,
say.
not
like,
at all.
No, you can still, because your world is what you see, right? Like, if you want to get into the Matrix thing, everywhere you look, a world generates, right? Your brain processes, yeah. Whatever. So it really like you, and that's where joy is in the moment, right? It's just when you read and you try to find out the global. You shouldn't be ignorant to what was going on in the world. We can't exactly get off the planet like I will.
Yeah. And I think just to reel it back in, I think the fact that like the world being chaotic brings me peace, because that means that there is nothing that is set in stone. So despite the things that you feel like that are coming or most likely, does not mean that will happen. So
That's
always got a fighting chance.
Chaos is a promise of change.
Yeah, there we go.
Buy my book that I'm not writing.
This next section of my podcast, I call it the Book of Human Emotions.
Okay.
It's a book that was written by this lady named Tiffany Watt Smith, and I'm a mention of emotion that she either studied or looked into, and you tell me whether you felt it before.
Okay.
Today's emotion is meha meha. It's the fear of the unknown, right? But there's a tribe of people that generally people feel like fear is universal, but there was a tribe of people that felt like there is the fear of the physical and then there's the fear of the spiritual, and like unknown can be like we're in the studio right now and we hear a bang outside. We don't know what that bang is. You know what I mean? Let's say if it sounds like a weird noise and you don't know if it's a spirit, you don't know if your house is haunted, you don't know if it's somebody that's just shooting outside. But it being unknown and not having you not knowing what it is. Meha meha.
Meha meha.
Yeah.
Fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not so much in the spiritual, but of time and what can come from the unexpected, because time is moving, right? So I wouldn't say like spiritual. Like I usually go to the most logical explanation, which is equally scary, right? If you want to, let's say, a loud bang, I'm like, well, I hope it's not an accident. I hope it's not someone I know, right? That's just like in that level. But to me, fear of the unknown is more like I have control issues. Like I need to control a lot because the world's out of control, and I don't get to control a lot. So the little things that you do control is like I need them to be like I need them to be right.
Okay.
And then there's the fear of the unknown of like things could be going right, and then like always something's gonna happen. But what is that something? Is that the thing that's gonna defeat me? Is that the thing that's gonna break me?
And you're always wary of that thing.
Yeah, it's like, or is something that I did, whether I intended or not, gonna come back? Or sometimes it's not even your karma; it's your father's karma, or just random chaos. What's gonna happen? Am I gonna be strong enough to deal with everything? Because I feel weak a lot sometimes because it's like, damn, how do I handle this? You get overwhelmed, and I'm gonna quote Chris. It's not your fault, but it's your responsibility.
That's real.
And it's like, wow, like yeah, like, now I'm not gonna be happy through it, but I'm gonna take care of it.
Shit, that's real. That's real. See Chris soon, 618. He's definitely somebody I spoke to.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be happy. That's gonna be a
very
we
good
have
conversation.
We have. I keep bumping the mic.
You can move it if you want.
I keep
get it comfortable.
We have a lot of great conversations. We joke around a lot. Very inappropriate jokes. People think we're nuts, but yeah, now that keeps us alive. Is like comedy is everything, and he's not doing like stand up in my car, but like we just have like it's just life is funny, and you gotta laugh at the ridiculousness of life and the irony that is every corner you turn. It's just irony.
Yeah, and that's the whole I think that perception shifting when shit does happen. You're like, you know what? How else can I see it? And one of my boys, like a close friend of mine, I tell him all the time, yo, he's a better person than me because he'll be getting shit from a lot of people, and he responds so positively every time. And I'm like, yo, you better than me, man, because I couldn't
Yeah,
be me. If somebody did that to me, I'd be pissed off, and I would have to let them know. And his only response was, "Good morning. We've grown accustomed to making lemonade over here." So like that kind of positivity, you know?
that's very like annoyingly positive.
Yeah, it's like, yo, what the
Stop
fuck?
smiling. Nah, I get. I mean, it's a personality thing, and back to fear they have known us. I think it's like we are that expectation itself is the hunting, right? Instead of like when it happens, it happens. Let's have joy. I'm learning that still.
Mm-hmm.
Like like always being like this, right? And you're not wrong because yeah, somebody might throw a punch, but like how often though? Like, just guard down. Use your hands for something else. Do
Yeah. Um. So I get that. Those are the situations that you felt to them.
Yeah.
Okay. I used to feel it, and it's mad funny. I was on Instagram, and I saw a post and it said 50% of owning a house is hearing a noise and hoping it's a ghost because I can't afford to fix it.
Oh damn! I might see my mom. I hope it's a ghost because I can't afford to shoot somebody and have to
Oh,
get
this
a
guy.
lawyer because
I don't know where your house
I
at,
mean,
but
Connecticut's good. I think Connecticut got the decent gun laws. I don't think we
yeah,
need to loosen any. I think we have a state issue, meaning, again, I always get off topic, but the gun issue in this country is a state issue, not so much of a national guns issue.
nah, this
Like,
state issues.
it's just states that just serve for the flow of guns, and then that they end up in Chicago. But
Yeah,
there's no. I mean, Michigan. I mean, Illinois does. They're pretty country outside of Chicago, but yeah. So my mind went there because again, it better be a ghost because I can't
you can
afford.
afford.
But
Well,
you're still gonna have to lawyer up.
yeah, regardless. But I will say though, speaking of the gun issue though, like when I was down in Atlanta and I was at a cousin's house, um, down south, these places are. Don't get me wrong. There's no reason. I still don't feel like anybody needs assault rifles. But like when you're down south and you call the police and the cop might not show up for 45 minutes, you kind of need to be strapped.
Yeah, I mean, you got the choices. You got the choice. Um, but yeah, no, you need to. Yeah, you gotta protect yourself. I mean,
Yeah.
if you
But
think about it, anywhere, uh, Bridgeport Police Department, that they should be functional with a 450 officers, and Bridgeport's become this puppy mill of training, and then they leave to better towns, which you can't blame them. Chase a kid with a 50 round, or go rescue a cat. I'm going to Trumbull.
oh, exactly, exactly.
So these kids are, and it's a symptom of our society. I
Yeah.
mean, you still hold people accountable. Not gonna sit there and try to talk it out, but it's not like automatically bad. They're bad. They're definitely terrible. Murderers are murderers. You can't get away from that, right? But it's a symptom of society and just a lot. But
And
it's
that's
a
what we
deep.
talked about when, like, we talked about way earlier when we talked about displacement, and they talked about putting groups of people in a certain environment and allowing it to be lawlessness. And there's just that school to prison pipeline is real.
I mean, yeah,
It's just that simple.
yeah. It's like where do we put them? And that's where do we put them is a very real statement. Like truancy officers are not there to make sure you get your education. They just make that we gotta account for you because you can't. If you just lose sight of that, then you will have people build like underground, like that happened in Russia a lot in the '90s. They just they want where are these kids because they're in the formative years, so they're sponges. We need to know where they are. I don't care if they pick up bad habits,
Mm.
but we need to know. Like so,
I never really thought about that.
every time I got picked up by a truancy officer, I felt like a criminal. I didn't feel like they wanted my best interest. They just they dropped me off in front of Central High and put me back in, and that's it. Just don't leave again, and then I will walk back
Yeah.
out. And to go to work, not to do nothing crazy. To go to work and make beats. And but yeah, but it's like it's not one person making these decisions. It's society figuring it out. But because there's a small percentage of people that is it's their own interest, and we all have self interest. I mean, this comes from our normal primal. self-survival. Like people, why do people hoard resources and money? It's not just like I'm gonna be bad. I want to take it from you. It really starts with I think I can control these resources better than you.
Yeah.
And everybody feels they can control these resources.
And if I can't control it, I deserve it.
I feel like if I let you, yeah. So and then they get into like, do I deserve this? This is mine, and my family name, all that extra. But I mean, it's not like one person controlling it, but there's a small amount of people who work to their best, and they feel they're making great decisions for society. You know?
Yeah.
And that's why it's hard to fight, because this ideology is not, and then there's a myriad of it's so complex that you start getting that feeling like,
what the hell am I gonna do?
What am I gonna do? Like,
it's very, very complex, and I answer that to anybody listening. You can only do what you can, and we all have a voice and we all have a skill, And for you, speaking to you, Esco, is that you are able to tell stories.
Yeah.
And that's something a lot of people can't do.
That's the goal. And it has to be entertaining. I mean, the entertainment business, and it's not gonna be seen by as many eyes and make as much impact if it's not entertaining. Like, it has to make you feel some type of way, like a movie would. Like the one I just finished is a thriller. It's like you walk with this character and you think he's losing it. You have an idea what he might be going through, but then you get hit with a couple plot twists, and it's like, I'm old. I feel crazy now. Boom. I want you to feel crazy. I want you to feel like you got dementia. So that's the ultimate goal. Like, you got to walk through it, because I don't know everything, but I'm just not convinced about the supernatural. I'm not really into.
I'm not convinced about it.
I'm not. I'm just whatever. And if I'm wrong, I'm like, let's talk about it. Whatever. I can't. I can't. But a lot of scary movies. I'm disappointed in the horror genre, because it's a kid and a possession and the demonic, and I'm like.
So you know what?
I want to make movies that are scary, but based on mental illness, because nothing's scarier than your own head when it's not right.
Yeah, some people don't even know their head is not right.
That's what I'm saying. So that's scary, because the world they live in is like a hell.
You ever go to people and then I don't know. I'm not. You know what? I'm walling out right now. I was going to say something mad crazy and disrespectful. I'll say it off camera. But so I wanted to talk about it a bit later, but let's dive into it. So LĽFT, it's the short film that you crowdfunded for.
Yes.
You said you got some finishing touches that you have to make.
Yeah.
In order for like a private viewing, I assume, for like funders and stuff like that.
Yeah, mostly for my audio people, just to get feedback on like what if there's anything that could improve. Marketing people, so they can, if there's anything that's like not favorable, they can approach it. One of my investors, who is a very logical, grounded opinion, like not like hurtful opinion, but like, let's get rid of this part, like, without being scared to hurt my feeling. I'm not attached to it that way. I wrote a full script, but I'm okay with getting rid of things to make it interesting and keep people in those seats and like, oh my god, this is nuts, right? So just like almost like a focus group to tighten it up. Now I did most of the work already. I love it right now, but I'm not gonna jump and just start a premiere without checking. Just make sure I don't miss a few things. Just because of my eyes and teeth. I don't know. I didn't go to school. But,
dot my eyes, cross my teeth.
I could at least learn that, right? I mean, I did 2 freshman years.
Listen, I'm gonna have
freshman 1, freshman 2.
I'm gonna have to talk to Central about this and say, listen.
Shout out to Mr. Silverman. He told me to drop out. If my mother wasn't so busy working 3 jobs, she should have sued the school.
Yo, oh my god. Yo.
I mean, he was frustrated and overwhelmed. I'm gonna just give him that. He was my guidance counselor. So much for guidance. But I wasn't. I went to 9th grade, right? They put me in the worst classes because I was still learning English. Shout out to Chris for correcting me. And I thought that was Central. I was like, oh, this is high school. This is like Lean on Me. Because my wife went to Central, a whole different experience. She's like, you sure you went to the same school? Like, you were a magnet, the hallway we couldn't go into, that one hallway. Meanwhile, I'm with the teacher that's like about to put a bullet in her head. and everybody's like, people are selling, buying weed from each other in class. I'm like, oh, this is like high school now. Bet lost interest, didn't want to do anything.
It's like,
Got a job.
Yo, I don't know if that's racist or not.
No, it's not. What it is it's an abandoned, leftover. No one gives a damn because there was Central. It was people from all backgrounds, but it was just everyone was in the same page.
They shut down that school, right?
Huh?
They closed it, right?
No. I'm talking about Central.
Yeah,
Harding got closed.
Harding got closed,
but they moved it to a better looking building. And shout out to the vice principal there. I know him as Future 5000. He was a hip hop artist.
Oh,
yeah.
Oh, shout out to him. Look at him switching it up.
One difference at a time. It's big. It's a lot of work. So, and I used to just, it's not just the teachers. Teachers are genuinely good, but the same thing goes back to big cities and a lot of work, a lot more students for less pay.
Yeah.
And it's frustrating. And again, it's like the curriculum and everything is like, this just keep those kids' butts in those seats.
Because we got money coming in.
So my experience was terrible. I repeated ninth grade. By the time I did ninth grade part 2, I already had a job at Dunkin' Donuts. They wouldn't give me more than 30 hours, and I was like, I used to go to homeroom so they wouldn't call my mom. But
after that, it was over.
Done, and I go to lunch. I go to all the lunch waves, and then get on the bus and go to Westbrook. Just so I could provide and start do what I needed to do. But my guidance counselor, like, I went in, he was like, you might as well just drop out. I was like, I just needed some confirmation. Thank you. Yeah. I left. I went home. I didn't have a cell phone at the time. I called my job. Like, I can do 40 hours now. And the manager at the time, she knew the situation. She was like, stay in school. I'm like, no. I'm either gonna get a second job, but I'm not going back. I gotta go. Just give me the 40 hours. Give me the hours, or I'm going somewhere else. Yeah, I was one of the only few guys at the Dunkin' Donuts, and one of the only few people that spoke like fluent English at the time. So I was liked, because
yeah, you was getting them hours for sure, getting that OT.
So, and that's it. Shout out to them. I worked there 5 years. I went in a young man, a virgin, and I left a man. Yeah. I mean, I didn't lose it there. I'm just saying, when I went in, don't get it wrong. I didn't pop nobody off.
That's what you was making donut holes.
When I first got that job, I was like green, nothing. And when I call it a resignation. I didn't quit. They didn't fire me. I was like, I need to move on. I'm 19 now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's crazy. 19, talking about I need to move on.
I need to move on. And I went to my aunt for a little bit, and then between that, and I'm gonna share this because I'm one of the lucky ones on this department, but I'm one of those people that had no papers in this country for I came here when I was 11. I got my green card when I was 24.
Shout out to you though.
And it was just pretty much waiting to be eligible. I know some people get into that debate. Some people get their papers and then lift their nose up and then forget about everybody else. But I know some people. Oh man, like I hired my attorney used to be a prosecutor, so she knew exactly because there's only 11 immigration courts in this country, and they're like, it's like, next you don't get to make your case. She's like, we gotta avoid you going to court. That you're gonna get deported if you go to court. So let's do, because they ask you for impossible things. They got a quota. I'm not exactly a scientist, so I'm not like in there like let's keep them here list. But I fought, and then she helped me a lot. Shout out to her, Renee Redmond from New Haven. She was tough, but she made me do the work. It was an expense, almost like a murder case. It was expensive. It was super expensive too, because I'm like, I can't go back. I have nothing. I'm from here. I can't.
It's like, nah, you nothing over there.
Yeah. So, but I was one of those people. So that was one of my things that kept me like from really finishing school, like not interested, because I already knew I could have finished high school, which is, they want you to be in school. They don't deny you that. You can't go to trade school though. You can't go to like flat tech or none of that if you don't have your papers.
Damn.
But you get to go to Central, Harding, which is good. Like, so, but when you can't go to college though.
Yeah. Once you're done, you're done.
So I was like, what's the point? I can't go to trade school. I can't finish to go to college. So I all that plus not being put in the worst classes and just already having to repeat a grade and the fact that I was actually making money, like getting a paycheck and paying taxes on it. It was a great choice that I made as a young person, because that's the first thing they asked me when I went to fix my status. Have you been paying taxes? Great, yeah. So that's one of the reasons to help. But again, that mine's not one of the worst stories. I know people that got deported. They keep coming back, but it's just expensive and
Listen,
painful.
it was just in the news. Somebody from Guatemala just got 27.
There's nothing there. Most people are leaving because it's just, bro, like you really can't just mind your business in those places. You're either gonna start doing things that are evil or die. Like
Damn.
literally. And I didn't. We came mostly for the lack of opportunity. My mom was getting older, couldn't work, and we were just pretty much like, oh no, we gotta move. She moved for me.
¿Cuándo estaba la última vez estabas en Colombia?
I never went back.
Damn, really?
I have like this tension. I'm like, I had to leave. I'm not coming. I want to bring my daughter there. You know, when she's old enough to experience it. It's a country's political line, right? It's not like an entity, but the government itself and the inequality forced us to leave where I was born. I have resentment towards that.
Damn.
Mostly because my mom didn't need to be here. She doesn't mind, but she would have had a more fruitful life.
Do you want to share on what forced her to leave?
Just no work, no. You know, she always worked. We're from a small town. We were in the country, and we started slowly moving. One of my aunts came here early in the '90s. She was a little younger. She got ahead a little more. And again, once you get here, it's hard to go back and live there. So my mom is good. She's good. We good, but that's just my resentment. Maybe no. Maybe her life would have been worse. Who knows? Right?
You have a sister, right?
I have a half sister.
She in Colombia though?
I think so. I have a lot of half. My father never left Colombia. He got kids in every continent.
So I remember I touched on this. You said some of the.
I only speak to my half brother, one of my half brothers that lives here in Virginia, because he's closer to my age and he understands a little more. The other ones kind of, I don't really. I mean, there's no relationship.
Yeah, it's just.
Yeah, I just need to know who they are.
That's the truth.
For the sake of me,
for the sake of running into somebody.
Yeah, I do. Yeah. I think that's why maybe that's why I don't date or never dated because I'm married, but never dated Colombian. Maybe that's like it was something they're like get away from them because you don't know how many you might have another sister. That
this might be your third cousin.
Might be that thing, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
Well, one thing I do want to touch on, you said, "Yeah, Dad never left Colombia," and I do realize that you said like
he got people pregnant and then the mothers left the country.
Jesus.
So no, I think he only has 3 different mothers. I hate the word baby mother, but yeah, that's why he got 3 of them. So the woman he was married to, then my mom, and then another lady. Yeah, no, like one of my brothers went to Spain and lived there for a while. Another one, which has a dark story, I can't share it today. It's not over yet, but he moved to the UK. And then my sister lived in the UK, I think, too. And one of my brothers moved to Ecuador.
But I feel like I forget, but I really wanted to touch on because earlier you said something about it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility by Chris, right?
Yeah.
And you said sometimes you learn that you're dealing with karma that's not your own, but your father's.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on that?
So, how do I put it? It might be just a guilt trip, or like, am I gonna be him? Because I'm not him. You know, I don't have 6 kids with a bunch of people. I have 1 child with my wife, right? So I guess I did okay in that department. But it's like the it's like this genetic disposition in a way of like, so I drink, and that's one of the things that kind of put my father. It didn't ruin him. So it's like one of those, like, it's not he didn't like almost lose his life. He just made bad business decisions with some inheritance. And he's alright, but I'm just like I don't want to ever be him in that department. I don't drink when I work. I drink, like in every situation, anything. But for one, it's a liability. Again, going back to business, like I don't want if I make a mistake when I'm working,
that's a lie.
The client's gonna blame it on me drinking. I have a tolerance, but it don't matter.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like so, and that's why I'm my best self. There's a set of discipline when I work, and it's rewarding. It's not a chore, right? And I'm genuinely happy. It's not that I drink because I'm unhappy, but I can work and completely get it done. And that's why I only take stuff that I can enjoy. Sometimes you gotta take a corporate job or two, like commercials about things that you're never gonna buy.
Yeah.
But mostly when it's music or a company or a business that's like family. Like I enjoy doing it, right? But it is discipline. It's proven to myself that I have to depend on drinking or having a good time, or I don't have to have people around to cheer me on. It's like let's get the job done. Right?
You do it when it's a championship game.
Yeah. One thing that I learned, people get used to you doing great things, and sometimes you feel like they don't support you anymore. What it is they just you just brought them up to that level.
Yeah, this is your normal.
This is your normal now, and a lot of people like I used to have all these feelings about like, damn, nobody tells me good job in the video anymore. My friend don't be like, yo, you doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Now my friends are like, cool. I don't even show my friends none of the work I do unless they're in it. And but I learned that though. It's like, oh yeah, they're not gonna be my cheerleaders. They're just gonna. I have to do something new now. Like the movie, my boy, my Fredo, which is my best friend. It's like my pretty much my brother, but he's Peruvian. By the way, my top food is Peruvian.
They got it. They definitely got it. I know this.
But he's like very grounded. He's my godfather for my daughter. Very grounded, and but he'll tell you how it is. He's not one of those people that always gives you his opinion. If you ask, he'll tell you the truth. So low key, like if I can impress him with something I did new, different, it's like
did that shit. Did that shit.
It's a little rewarding and shit. I mean,
that takes me to asking you two questions. One, what is currently your biggest personal goal?
My biggest personal goal is I gotta really make really good decisions. I need to watch my daughter grow up.
Need to watch what?
I need to watch my daughter grow up. I can't be a sacrifice anymore. That's not an option.
No, I respect that.
So not on some martyrdom shit. Like I'm not like attached to any ideology that I'm like, yo, take my life over this. Not. But my life is not that important that if it means more to save someone I love or anything. But now I feel like this responsibility. I gotta do both. I gotta stay alive. I know that sounds like simple and very like yeah, just eat, drink water, and don't jump off of airplanes or whatever. But my biggest like that person and the personal level, yeah, I need to. I gotta watch my daughter grow. I never had that. Like I'm very like whatever happens happens, but now I can't.
And do you feel like that stems from your father?
It might be. So it's centralized towards him, but it comes because he also has his demons and whatever he did made decisions to do whatever. I think it's just the fallout of, and I went to therapy long ago, and it all I know it's cliche. It goes back to my mom, like you left her out. Me, I'm gonna find a wife, which I did. I'm gonna find a way. It's like, but my mom never remarried, so I gotta play a lot of roles in my household. You know, like I gotta be not a companion, but I do have to play to a degree companion. I'm her financial guy. She's always worked, but I make her make decisions, and I'm responsible for her emotional well being. These are things that my father should have been doing, right? Because now I got my own family. So that's where it comes from. I think I hate self analyzing because it shouldn't.
So,
but I think it's not him. He can't do anything to help me, but it's the fallout of his absence.
Yeah, and that's it's very difficult responsibility to take on. So you were raised by your mother, right?
Yeah, my grandmother who's 102 right now. My grandmother has dementia and she's like in one of the worst stages right now. She's in the movie, by the way. I was able to put her in the movie when she had a losing moment. Yeah. She's 102. My grandmother, I would never be able to sacrifice or do the thing my grandmother did. She raised 9 kids in poverty in the countryside, and she dug it out. Yeah, I don't think I could ever do what my grandmother did. We're not built like that.
Nah, that previous generation was different. A lot of people don't get that. And your grandmother was.
She was my father. She couldn't teach me how to be a man, but she was almost the masculine. And so my mom was my mom, gave me what my mom gives you, and then my grandmother was the other side of like, toughen up, boy.
I listened to one of your interviews when you talked about how he's watching the matriarch no longer be able to be the matriarch, and I could hear in your voice how difficult that is.
Yeah, because she's once the mind is gone, like I've detached myself from that. Like it's flesh and bone, but who you are, who you are, you have feelings, and you're experiencing the world, right? So you get to suffer. You have to suffer. That's a reality. That's true. So once she's not there anymore, she's not there. But it's sad, but it's a selfish thing because it's like she was the matriarch, and now she is being wiped.
So I don't,
Like,
and I feel you, but I don't know if she's being right. But I think like when you said you don't believe in all this horror and all this other stuff, but because I almost see it as like her spirit leaving her body and coming back into it into those and during those lucid moments. But
yeah, I mean,
you know,
to talk about the spiritual, or like, it's abstract, right? It's very
mm-hmm.
difficult to have the conversation about the abstract, but I do recognize that they come from and hard to explain experiences and feelings, things you can show and materialize, right? So I don't have the life, I don't have enough of a lifetime to how to put it. I'm a control freak,
Mm-hmm.
and anything that's always open for debate, which I'm a science person, right?
Okay.
Um, but if it's always open for debate and we can't agree on it, it's not worth it because it's just gonna be it's a place you go to just to have a disagreement at that point. So I personally, I don't, I I think what people describe as is real to them, and you can't take that away. And it might be something you're observing that you're sensing because we only have our senses. It's like trying to explain to a cat, you know, why I like cheese on my burger. It's like, bro, like the cat is never going to
You think
understand
it's
that.
that simple?
It is. Well, actually, yeah, it is. Like we're the cat, and we just don't know. Like you want to
Mm-hmm.
get into the fourth dimension, because having faith into, look, having faith in quantum mechanics is just like having faith in God.
Yeah.
If you want to put it in that, like, because
Yeah.
I don't understand quantum mechanics. I want to say that I do. I understand it like this, right? I'm excited about science, molecular. There's a lot of stuff that you can prove to yourself if you can go buy a telescope, not a microscope, and look at your own cells, right? If you got enough money, you can buy an electron microscope and see an atom of something that has whatever. I'm a science person, but also there's a lot of faith in that. A lot of like, well, we gotta trust what this person says, right?
Yeah.
So those two things are similar in a way.
I can't argue against that.
Right. So, but I lean towards and science can fail you too. Science can be used for evil. I get that. But I don't know. I'm more grounded, and I just don't. I don't know. There's something about me that just doesn't let me go there. It feels like there's something very real, but it has to go through man, and men usually corrupt things for their own benefit. So I can't trust them out. I trust what I feel. I'm here.
No, I get that, and I guess for me personally, I feel like for most of my life, and this might sound weird to say, but like for most of my life, I felt like I was somebody watching this body.
Mm.
If that makes sense, I've always felt
Do you feel like you've been here before?
what
Do you feel like you've been here before?
like on Earth.
Yeah.
I don't know how to answer that. I don't. Sometimes maybe because I feel like I experience a lot of deja
Deja vu.
vu of like emotion, not just like emotions, but like I can't say like, oh, I crossed this street before, but there's a feeling that like something happens. I'm like, this has happened before, and I know exactly what's going to happen next. If does that you are you like keeping up with what I'm putting down? Like, if that does that make sense to you?
Yeah, that happens a lot. It's like this suspense moment of like, this happened, this is next, this is next, that's next, and it just keeps happening, and
Yeah,
then it goes away. But it's like, yeah, that happens a lot.
and I think that I mean that's also speaking to part of the life might be chaotic, but there are patterns.
Yeah, I mean, I read something and it didn't clarify anything, but I read it
Yeah.
about what deja vu is in the brain and a perception of time and whatever, because memory fails you horribly.
Oh, all the time.
Eyewitness testimony is the
That's the
worst. You only remember what interests you, and it's very like memory is bad because when you remember something, you're remembering what you last remember about it.
it's all
So
selective.
when I have a memory of you, the second time I have the memory, I'm having a memory of that memory. I'm not going back to the source. So it's like copying a
Mm.
file over and over until it's corrupted. People go to jail over eyewitness testimony.
Yeah.
Well, it depends on your skin tone. But
Yo, you're a funny guy.
your peers, I don't think so. No, no, I like making fun of things. Everybody wants to consider themselves a moderate, but it's up to other people. Like I can't say I'm an asshole now. It's up to you to decide that. Right? I can't be like, yo, I'm not an asshole.
You could let me know ahead of time.
No, I'm saying like you would decide. Like you can't tell. Like you. Can, I don't get to choose how you feel about me.
No,
like,
it's just.
I'm not an asshole. Maybe I am. Maybe you should stay away from me. Like it's just your opinion is your opinion. Like it's not my business. And people, it bothers you. I mean, of course, I care about what people think about me if it affects my business.
But I feel like caring and allowing it to affect you are two different things. You know what I mean?
You're right. See, you have to have a certain level of emotional intelligence. I just learned that right now. Yeah. Because caring and those two things live in the same house to me. So if I can just separate them now, I get to care. It just doesn't get to control.
Yeah, because I hate when people be like, "Oh, I don't care about that." It's like, no, you do care. It's okay to care. It's okay.
I think, I think that's trying not to care too often creates this like dystopian, like it. I mean, it's hard to explain.
Like shit is not supposed to matter. Like I like I listen to a lot of G Herbo right now. I can't lie.
Shout out to you. I can't.
He got listen.
You know what though? Let me tell you something. I don't think I've listened to enough of him to even make that judgment.
And
I just don't have the time for new art. I don't have time for new friends. I don't have time for
new friends.
Let me play Me Against the World from the beginning to end.
I felt the same way, but if you're a big fan of Tupac, he's a big fan of Tupac, and I can see that. I don't know.
Who is a big fan of Tupac?
Who?
Marjorie. She said, "Let me stop. I'm not going
You about to jump the shark?
Yeah.
Let's leave that. No, real. Take a listen to this PTSD album. But I say all that to say,
next time I do I haven't traveled since the pandemic and after the pandemic. Mm-hmm. I have my child, so it's been I haven't traveled as much, but I used to spend a lot of time. I like road trips, but if I gotta go to LA, I don't got a week to drive. I need to get there, right? Mm-hmm. But that's when I listen to new music because I want to listen to an album the way I used to listen to "It's Dark and Hell Is Hot."
Listen to PTSD.
Bro, my experience that I thought brought me joy right now. Remember you from Stanford? We had this store called Making Moves in Bridgeport. They got raided when the whole federal thing with copyright infringement. When they actually spend the tax dollars to raid little mom and pop CD shop. But he used CDs used to come out on Tuesdays, right? And he used to sell them on Monday nights. That was his big bootlegging thing. Bro, my thing was there's two moments of joy I'm gonna give you right now. Having the money for one, having $20 left, and change to buy the CD when they come out. It was like $13, but the $7 you go spend Chinese food, new CD.
Yes.
So It's Dark as Hell Is Hot, The Chronic, 2001. I have a bunch of CDs still in the thing. Pharaoh Munch. Every Monday night, go to his shop and because he had it on display, but it wasn't supposed to sell till Tuesday commercially. Those were joyful moments. Another joyful moment, coming home from Dunkin' Donuts, turn on the History Channel before they started talking about crazy aliens. And actually they had like history. Those were like joyful moments to lay on my bed after standing on my feet, smell like coffee.
Just watching
and just sitting. My grandmother was walking at the time. My mom was working, but my grandmother was self-dependent. So I didn't have to worry about them in that degree at that moment. Broke as a joke, but bills were paid. And come to my little bed in my little room, turn on the screen was probably the size of that square right there. But just not having to do anything. Those were little joyful moments.
That sounds enjoyable.
Yeah, they were simple. Nope. But it was and then fall asleep whenever you got tired. That's it. And then wake up, hustle and bustle, do that. But yeah, man. I don't know. That just came back to me for some
reason. I'm happy that you have a happy memory because oddly enough, I was going to ask you how do you relax without your camera? But I think just hearing about those joyful moments resonate with me.
This is before who I am in the public.
Oh yeah.
This is just me without having anybody, give me any validation on that degree. I'm the director. I'm whatever, right? At whatever level you consider me to be, but I'm never just Edwin, the guy you met, because I'm not interesting as. I mean, I'm interesting. You get to know me, but it's just like that. That helped me kind of beat my social anxiety because now there's a conversation. It's about work, but my work is intimate. And then when you get to know me, it might not be your cup of tea, but if I'm your cup of tea, you're gonna keep asking for the tea.
Mm-hmm.
Like I think I'm good to be around. I can be a lot sometimes, but I think I make people around me happy
No, you definitely good
for
energy.
moments.
Definitely good energy. Oh, I hope to see you sometime again.
Yeah, I mean, I love you don't have to force friendships and stuff like that. And when
No.
I say no new friends, that doesn't mean that I'm just this cynical like I don't trust you. I went through that. I needed to be that for a set of years. I wouldn't even take pictures. People didn't know what I
Damn.
looked like. I would meet people like I would because I took I'm in Bridgeport. I've been in Bridgeport for my life, and I would take the job. And when I showed up for the meeting, like you're not him. I'm like you've been filming with A, B, C, and D. I'm like bro, like I don't got to be in the street to get along with other human beings. These are people too.
Yeah.
So that's one thing about being because I have some family that came here and they ended up in Jersey in better neighborhoods or Florida. Florida, we're gonna rename Florida Spanish Alabama. So
that's true.
but what I learned about my city as you got separated. There's the people and then there's the government. The government is just what it's gonna be with a small city in a one party administration, right? No matter what party it is, one party is a big issue. So, but I met people, and I met people before there were labels, and this is what I go back to the beginning, traveling. Um, I'm Colombian, right? I'm Spanish. I look what I look like, and people in my country look just like you, like me, and in between, blonde, all anything that you could look like is very diverse, right? And it's just immigration patterns and all that. And his Spanish can be real racist too.
Yeah.
And has learned there's a different racism that comes from being from where we're from. We don't travel interstate the way we do here. So it's but it's not. I didn't never witness it growing up. It was mostly towards people that were native, like native Colombian, like they would be called uneducated, and they didn't count. They didn't have reservations like here. They were like just in the wilderness. So that's what I observed. I saw a lot of that. But I know that there's parts of the country that there is a lot of racism, a lot of colorism, a crazy amount of colorism.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna say that my country doesn't have that history. All of Latin America has that embedded in them, right? But I never saw my mother or anybody in my direct family ever have that or showcase that or teach me that or even never that. So when you come here, as an immigrant, you learn from the people that look like you or that are like in your culture. And I saw that between telling you, oh, if you want to eat, go here. If you want to take the bus, go here. Oh, by the way, stay away from those people. They're not good. So referring to black people. And I saw that, and luckily, I'm here. I have friends from every background, and I was able to keep my family from falling into that trap because my mom. I mean, shout out to my boy Blue, who's the lead in Left. I know him. His daughter's 22 years old. I met him when he was announcing that he had a daughter. I know him for 22 years. So my mom's experienced people. So the fear that they try to give new immigrants here, my mom couldn't buy into that. My grandmother didn't buy into that. My aunt didn't buy into that because I didn't come back. A lot of people come and they're just like, oh, I want to hang with only Colombians or the Brazilians hang with only Brazilians or like hell no. Like I just made friends with anybody that gave me a way in. So that is like if you can travel, that's almost kind of like, but Brisbane very diverse. But sometimes people don't get to live in a diverse place, so they gotta travel to see that.
Yeah.
So, but I saw how it can be toxic, and it's just learned. It's not like this innate evil. It's like I'm staying away from them because my aunt said this. So my mom watching people come in and out of the studio. Friends, all my friends. I mean, I got great friends from all backgrounds, right? But I'm in Bridgeport, so all my friends are either Jamaican, Black, Puerto Rican, and I have Nigerian friends. I have my Peruvian, who's my brother. I have white friends too.
Yeah, had to throw them in there.
I have white friends. But people are on the ground level, bro. Everybody is like, we just want to be happy and be left.
Yeah.
Right, and to be good to our family and my immediate friends, and also to have time to spend with each other and just be brothers. I don't have the bond with my brothers, but I have bond with my brothers from another mother, right? So that it just opens you up as like, man, we're all just people, and yeah, we're not all the same, but that's the joy of us learning. I don't want us to all be the same, right? It's like going to friends and then be like, where's the McDonald's at?
Yeah.
No, like by the way, food. Oh man, shout out to my client Leon Bassin. He's from Senegal, and we just shot a video in Brooklyn, and we went to eat to a Senegalese restaurant, and they had this lamb. 10 out of 10.
Spicy?
Nah, the sauce was, but it was grilled perfect because you know lamb you gotta do it
You
right.
gotta do it right. You gotta leave it tender.
The plantains.
Do you remember the name of the meal?
It was called DB. I might be saying it wrong. DB something. DB something. I forgot the name.
My friend put me on to this Indian spot downtown Bridgeport that I gotta go. The one right next to Mosaic.
The Jamaican place?
No, Indian spot. It's a halal spot.
Oh, it's in it's next to Mosaic. It's in the very low key. In the mall, the little mall.
Yeah.
I haven't eaten there yet.
But
it's a super authentic.
I don't know.
Bridgeport has a low key, very. See, I don't have Indian friends, right? I think if I would have finished school, I would have. But you know, because you can say about people like I like positive stereotypes, right?
They would have graduated way before that. Trust me.
They do not play around, bro. They damn, you know, like bro, Nigerians, Asians, and you know, like they are. It doesn't mean they're just smart. Like their discipline is insane, bro. Yeah. That's a good stereotype, right? Let's bunch them up together, right? Yeah. Nah, but like you know, I never got to. I mean, culturally, you know, it's a lot of stuff. Some people don't really get out of their culture and whatnot. But low key, Bridgeport, that's an underserved community because UB attracts a lot of international.
Oh yeah.
And I'm like, where's like we gotta cater. Like we don't have an I love Ethiopian food. We don't have. We gotta go to New Haven or Stanford for it. But it makes sense. Like who? I don't know anybody else.
I don't.
Like open it for me. You know, that's selfish. There is a West African market next to Mystique. Not that I go there, but in Bridgeport, I've been meaning to try it. I just haven't.
There you go. You want to try the West African market?
I've been meaning to try it.
That's what you want to try. Okay.
No food, man. Food excites me, man. To an amazing degree.
So if you were to recommend food tonight, if I was gonna go, just leave out of here, go grab some food in Bridgeport. What should I get?
So if you're gonna go to Bridgeport, right? If you are you feeling experimental or you just wanna atmosphere?
Anything. I don't want to eat there.
You don't want to eat there?
No.
Pick it up in Bridgeport. If you want pizza, we'll go to Jenna's.
No pizza. I want like a meal.
You want a meal?
Like I want some rice and some shit. You know what I mean? Rice.
So you can go to Mi Pueblo, the Colombian place on Main Street.
Mi Pueblo?
Yeah, Mi Pueblo.
Yeah. I'll check it out. Mi Pueblo.
Mi Pueblo.
That's like my town.
That's up Main Street. If you want to go downtown, you don't want to eat there, right? Downtown Bridgeport to take out. You can do takeout from. You can do takeout from Thelma's.
They're not closed.
Closed like
at this time of the day.
Wait, what's today? Sunday.
Sunday.
Oh, Sundays they do brunch till 7 and they're closed. Today I forgot today was Sunday. So Sunday, oh man.
Don't think too hard. We'll talk about it after.
No, because I'm gonna go now. where am I gonna go? No, I got home food at home. Yeah, to take out. That's tough, man.
Don't worry about that. This next section of the podcast I have is called "Feel This Way." I'm gonna say a name, phrase, or statement, and I want you to tell me thoughts, emotions, or memories it sparks. You ready?
Okay.
First word is tenant.
Tenant? Like my film?
I mean, I guess. Yeah.
Tenant accomplishment.
Accomplishment. Okay.
Milestone.
Can you give me a little background about Tenant?
Tenant was I did that short. That's my first original short film, and I did it during the pandemic when people were fighting over toilet paper, and I was like, what's happening? And I'm like, well, I got all this equipment. You know, I got a cinema camera, I got sound. I'm like, and every time people ask me when you're gonna do a movie, my excuse is, because there was an excuse. I was like, I'm too busy working and taking gigs, man. I can't take time out to do a passion project. Here comes the pandemic. I'm like, I don't have an excuse anymore. The next 3 weeks is toilet paper fights, mask, no mask. So I called, great shout out to Rayjana Creer, who is one of the partners of Moco. And it's not like a close friend of mine. She's somebody that I work with in music video. She was like, if you ever need me, call me. And I'm like, I'm using this up. Baltazar Fidalgo, who's in left, but he also was the two people because we didn't know what the virus was about. We were kind of like, I don't know, man. You know, but they took the chance. We all kind of like, you know, wore gloves and like, wow, that's crazy. We didn't even wear condoms and we weren't gloves.
Those are their hands, right?
so, but that was my first. That was a scary movie, and I wrote it, but it was so little dialogue. It was mostly cinema, you know, a lot of movement. And I was trying to showcase that. I won the Albuquerque Film Festival.
Nice.
Short Film Festival. I won the Matriach Short Film Festival, and it was all on Zoom. So it was an accomplishment, but also like.
Where can I watch Tenet?
Tenet is on Prime.
So Amazon Prime. Yeah. How much?
I think it's $1 right now.
I'm gonna watch it. I was gonna say I watch it tonight, but I don't want to put that pressure on myself. I'm gonna watch it this week.
I can send you a bootleg.
No, chill. I gotta support you. I'm gonna support you for real.
Yeah, thanks to Amazon Prime, I was able to buy these 3 pieces of candy.
What the?
It's just good to have it on a platform that's reachable, but
just 3 pieces.
It doesn't pay. That you gotta exhaust. Like what I'm doing with LÄFT, I'm exhausting it in theaters.
Wait, so you're saying I shouldn't pay Amazon?
No, you should.
I want the stats. I want you to hit the stats.
You know, I mean, yeah, hit it.
I mean, I'm just one guy, but you never know.
No, you never know. That's it helps the algorithm. Every new view helps the algorithm.
Exactly. The next phrase I have is the most memorable music video.
That's tough. I shot over 3,000 music videos.
I know, it's very tough.
So, the most memorable, I think so I'm gonna say the first time, one of my things was like when I started traveling, and hopefully it'll be with my day one, and I was able to go. The first time I went to Texas to work with my guy Jimmy O, I took my brother Alfredo, my boy Blue, my boy Ray, and I was able to bring them with me. I mean, they paid for their own flight, but then the hotels and everything else was taken care of by the client. So we did this music video called Special. So I think it was the trip more than the video, but it was memorable because I set that goal to, and at a moment when I had no career, a 9th grade, twice education, a Dunkin' Donuts job, I was like, one day I'm gonna travel, and like that shit seemed so far away at the time. And when I was like, yo, I'm traveling with my friends, not just people I met, like, and that was great. That was people that probably, not to, I don't know that, but they probably would have never left the state if it wasn't for that. So there's a number of those.
That's real.
That's the first time I went to Texas with my day one.
Yeah. That's what's up. Yeah, that's beautiful. The next word I have is cooking.
I got way better at cooking.
I heard you're the one when it comes
after
to
the pandemic.
You learned a lot in the pandemic.
Huh?
You learned a lot in the pandemic.
Well, yeah. I mean, food is everything. I can't cook for a bunch of people. I think the pressure and the kind of multitasking on me. But if I want something, and again, I'm cheating. I'm watching YouTube recipes and stuff like that.
What's cheating?
But I say my lasagna is, it's pretty damn good.
Crispy top.
Wings. I make my own hot sauce too. I learned how to make my own hot sauce. I'm a big hot sauce.
What pepper?
I use poblanos and habaneros.
That sounds good.
Yeah,
that's a good sweet hot.
It's good, and it didn't taste like anything. I think the taste could use some tweaking, but the heat was right there.
Yeah.
But it's just a new taste. I mean, I've tasted worst.
Yeah, because poblano don't get too.
Well, like poblano is texture, but when you combine with poblano, like when you combine them, it does something that. I read it. I didn't just take a blind stab at it. Yeah. Steak. I mean, come on. That's how I got my citizenship. I made a steak.
You brought it down to the immigration court.
It was like, yeah.
You were Salt Bay before Salt Bay.
Give him the passport. So mash. Yeah, cook it. It became therapeutic, and I also I just stopped thinking about any recurring thoughts or I wonder if I did this right. I wonder if my client those things go away. When you have time. Yeah, just cook. And then tasting.
The next word I have is
Peace. So the word is peace. I'm sorry. I said everything but the answer. So cooking peace.
Okay, I appreciate that. It could be the thought either, so it don't gotta be just one word.
All right.
So I'll take it. The last word I have is cinematographer.
Cinematographer. So that's like my strength. That's in the big operation. That's my job, right? If you have the budget, like I wear all the hats a lot. I kind of took some hats off for the last one because there was a budget for it. But if I'm going in for my dream job, it's as a cinematographer, director of photography, cinematographer, just in charge. Again, I write out of necessity, but that's not my super strength. So I think there's way better writers with better ideas. But I'm the guy that's gonna shoot it, color it.
When it comes to that camera work and telling people where they need to be.
Yeah, but that's direction. Which I'm a director by just what it is. But again, that's like where I live. That is my specialized department.
Because when I asked that initially, because I wanted to ask you before, like, how did you get into videography? And then thinking about it deeper, I thought about what the difference is. And while looking at your Instagram, I noticed the growth of coming from being a videographer.
Yeah.
And now to be able to really say you are a cinematographer.
Yeah.
So
you got to earn those things.
Yeah. So I say that with all the intention that from a stranger.
Good.
Shout out to your growth.
I appreciate that. I'm glad it's notable. Because stagnation is the devil.
For sure. I'd like to end the podcast with a quote from a friend. So this was from your friend. It says, "I love you. Be kinder to yourself, and know who the fuck you are."
That sounds like Chris.
I don't know who it is, but just know that. All right.
All right.
And this is something that holds us. Where our mission is to bring us closer to our emotions, to understand not only who we are, but who we want to be.